So this is the second installment of Matter Time, and even though I do have an advanced degree, a PhD, in chemistry and spectroscopy, the study of how light interacts with matter, I think it's very useful to have a simpler description of what makes up reality than the 100 and some odd elements that we have, and the multitude of particles and the various momenta and associated things. And so I've come up with a relatively simple scheme of 5 gifts of the Father, 5 gifts of the Mother, 10 gifts total, which represents sort of a primitive understanding of or interpretation of physical reality, and not a complicated one, but most people don't even understand the complicated ones, right? So the matter-time universe begins, instead of with a big bang, it begins after a complete antiverse expansion, which we'll see more details about later. But what it means on this diagram, you can see, is that we're actually on a downward slope of a shrinking universe as opposed to an upward slope of an expanding universe. And therefore it's really nice to have simpler, easier ways to think of this. Where we begin is with the first gift of the Father, Father Time. This is a diagram of the fluctuations of dark, deep space, not of stars, but of the 10 or 20 parts per million fluctuation that occur in the dark background of space. Looking up and down in this diagram, and left to right, covers all of space completely around us. So this represents the first light of the universe, let there be light, and therefore is the first gift of the Father. This is a view of the Virgo constellation, and the red dashed circle at the upper right shows the center of the Virgo supercluster. This represents kind of the direction of the center of the Earth, and it's interesting that socially with Virgo the Virgin, the constellation normally associated with spring. The second gift of the Father is in the galaxy, our own galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. This diagram is a sketch of what our galaxy would look like if somehow we could look at it from, several 100,000 light years away, which of course we cannot. We're stuck in the middle of the galaxy, and so we have to look outside of it into what it looks like. But this is the second gift of the Father. Now the third gift of the Father is very important, and that is our own Sun. Without our Sun, there would be no life as we know it on Earth, of course, and so we owe a lot to the virulence and the presence of the third gift of the Father. The fourth gift is that of life, represented by this fossil shell. Life, of course, is what we owe our existence to, and as the fourth gift of the Father, it represents everything that we could ever hope to be or do. And finally, the fifth gift of the Father is a civilization. We see a picture of the pyramids of Egypt, one of the first forms of civilization. And there are many examples, of course, of formation of civilization and the social progress that represents to us in our present time. To complement the gifts of the Father are the gifts of the Mother. The first gift of the Mother, of course, is the air we breathe. This diagram represents a picture of the Earth from space where you just see the edge of the atmosphere. The second gift of the mother is in the water that we drink. Water, of course, is the vital essence of all life, and our Mother Earth, the surface of the planet, is mostly water. The third gift of the mother is, of course, in the earth that represents the minerals and the soil in which things grow, which includes, by the way, the salts of the ocean. So this differentiates the stone of earth, which is the fourth gift, necessarily because the soil is a very special and important ingredient to life that our mothers different from soil, the stone that we use to build, and also that we mine our minerals from and we make our metals from. The stone represents a mineral source different than earth, different than water, different than air, although stone contains all of those same elements that these other gifts of mother's gifts include. So this represents kind of a simplified notion of a periodic table. It dates back to even ancient times. And you see the fifth gift, of course, is fire, ancient fire. And so you can see, just like in the ancient notions of earth, air, water, and fire, all I'm doing is adding an extra facet stone, so we end up with 5 elements that represent what matter makes up, and we differentiate the 5 elements of matter from the 5 actions of. So this is the end of the second installment of Matter Time, where I discuss the gifts of Father Time and of Mother Earth, represent the action and matter of the primitive universe. I hope you will stay tuned for the next in this series of Matter Time.